Okay, so part two. I was talking about how to get out of the INTJ trap, the intellectual mastermind trap. And so the way we're going to do this is by focusing on a definition. You can take any definition, but the main thing to realize is that nothing can ever be more or it can never be different than what you define it as. So whatever you think something is, it is. Unless there's a group agreement, a planetary agreement, that something is defined as something. So, great example is genetically modified foods. Perfect. So from a normal perception, genetically modified foods are foods that have been tampered with at the deepest genetic level, and because of that, there are negative outcomes from eating them, right? And as an INTJ, you would have every angle covered. You would have figured this out so many different ways. So that's great. You can validate any intellectual statement as an INTJ, no problem. So the next step is going to be, can you switch reality beyond those and let go of those? Because you're going to have a lot from this point. If you got to this point, then your entire reality is basically going to be locked in, as you have perfect reasoning for everything. Anyone can ask you anything and you're just like, bam, well, actually, And in any argument you can win because you understand the variables that are used to create it. There's one more variable, and that is this variable of definitions. So, back to the genetically modified food, right? If at a certain point on the planet, the majority of people, the majority of energy starts believing a certain thing, genetically modified foods are negative for you, then it becomes so, regardless of if you're aware of it or not. So before it might not have been a problem, but now it is, because people know about it. So what are you going to do? Well, you can eat foods for the rest of your life that are good for you, or you can learn to change definitions. And the way that you're going to do this is you need to overpower, essentially, the group agreement for something by completely eliminating any doubt. So this is going to become a huge tool because it's not just the elimination of doubt from things that you already know are scientifically proven. And as an INTJ, you have 30 different ways to prove this to another human being. You're going to have to go in and you're going to have to erase that. Because the way that this works is it's kind of, well, at this point in our sciences, it's considered a form of conscious magic. Because it's manipulation of energy with thought. And the same as a priest can bless holy water. That's essentially what this is. Anything can be anything for you, but in order for it to be that, you cannot have definitions that it is something else. So, as you watch the world rise in consciousness, we all start moving towards these stages of, well, this is good for my vibration. This is bad for my vibration. This is good for my body. This is bad for my body. And these, again, are just really well manipulated fear tactics. Because all of a sudden we can't eat anything. And so what do you got to do? Well, you got to go back and you got to think about all the different aspects of what makes you believe that. And there's a lot. And they'll go really, really deep. And then you have to change those. And you can simply change it by taking the old idea that you had, putting it in a bubble in front of you, visualizing the idea coming out of you, and blowing it up. And then after that, you can visualize the new idea that you want it to be, right? Put it in a bubble up here. You can put it on a piece of paper if you want, and then bring it into your body. So you're essentially like, that old idea, done. I don't want to do it anymore. It's not what I want to create. This new idea, perfect. So this kind of you start to do this, and as an INTJ, it's definitely your next step in the sense of the one thing you have left to master is yourself and your own definitions and your intellectual side. So what I found is you're going to go through with a lot of different aspects of this. You're going to, anything you want to change, there will be different parts, and you're not always going to be able to perceive them, because most of the things that are hidden from you, and this is a huge thing that INTJ runs into, they are covered in very painful emotions. And as an INTJ, we tend to avoid those things because we are just so intellectual that the emotional body is for ENFPs and other people who enjoy the randomness and ups and downs of the emotional body. But you got to go back in because your emotions are covering up a massive amount of information. So once you do this, you start to shift ideas. You start to see that you can control reality, and that all of your definitions about reality and about everything were essentially just perspectives. And you'll start getting more and more perspectives and start changing your perspective. And then once you step out of your original perspective multiple times, so completely change how you think about everything, then you'll start to see that your original perspective was just a costume. And as an INTJ, you'll already be aware of how to basically absorb people's perspectives, because we're always kind of looking at people's perspectives, hoping to pick up a key to something we had not initially seen in our analysis. So you can do this, and once you start doing this, you start changing your reality, it's going to shift, and your outward reality is going to shift, because you're going to see that the outward reality is totally 100% based on your definitions of things. So if you think that all dogs are slobbering messes, you're going to run into a lot of slobbering mess dogs. And if you think that all dogs are incarnations of pure joy and unconditional love, it's a pretty sweet upgrade change considering how many dogs are running around. So you can start doing this, and I can tell you it works. I've been doing it for a couple years now, and to get past the INTJ thing, it definitely is the next level, because it just becomes something where no longer are you annoyed with people. There's no social awkwardness. There's nothing you have to be, because you realize that no one else is affecting you, and everyone else is going through what they need to go through to get to that point where they can, one, step outside of their original personality, their original defense mechanisms, and two, start to take on different perspectives. So after a certain amount of perspectives, you see that you can flow in and out of perspectives with perfect ease, and it becomes something that is so amazingly simple you wouldn't even believe it. But we have so many things we're afraid to let go of. I only like girls with brunette hair. Okay, well, if I let go of that idea and start to enjoy females with different colored hair, am I letting down girls from the past? Am I letting down my current girlfriend? These sort of ideas about everything are, we have all these locked in ideas that are supposed to make us feel like we can't change our perception, and those are the ones you're going to want to go hunting for, because once you hunt for these become really, really fun. These are these definitions instilled by the church, your parents, education system, and they go way far back. But you start knocking these things out, and your reality starts opening up to massive amounts of change instantaneously, because no longer are you afraid. Well, I can't think this, I can't believe this. And a huge one of those things is the social insecurity. It's like the world is very much confined itself in a police state, where our police are the people around us, and we're all holding each other to these social norms that's causing everyone to basically define reality in the same way. And these are the things to look for, because you will get weird. People will think that you're awkward, and people will think that you're weird. But as an INTJ, that should be very normal for you. So it's pretty cool, because once you start acting outside of these social norms, other people around you loosen up and start to too, and you develop these sort of friendships that are way deeper. So we'll talk about that in the next video.